We have one more incredible piece of Torah to hear tonight. Take your seats, plug in. All the way from the United States of America, Yud Shem, he won't be leaving because Mashiach will be here, b'meher v'yameinu. There's a beautiful boy here who brought this phone forward. If anyone lost their phone, Hashavas Aveda, please can you give it to them? Please take a seat for the final Torah of the beginning of the evening as we prepare ourselves. Just a reminder, just outside this room for the first time ever at Tzama is a special English book sale. Most of the books are already sold out. There you'll find Rav Wineberger, Shlitter's Sefer. You'll find Rav Pinson, Shlitter's Sfarim. We encourage you to please take the Sfarim, to buy the Sfarim, and to have a great night. Please be seated as we hear the final Torah for the evening. Please be seated. We're zocher tonight, as we close off this incredible evening, to go one step deeper, one piece higher, holding on, as Rav Wineberger said, to the Nespach HaShemen, holding on to the Tefillin, and going deeper in that way. Rav Pinson has written over 60 books. Ken Yirbu, may they continue to be written. He is the Rosh Kollel of the incredible Eon Institute, and an amazing scholar, author, Talmid Chacham, and Rebbe to so many. Please be upstanding and give a big round of applause to Rabbi Rav Pinson.
Bershus, Weinberger, Benji, Cher, Michael, and all the Chavra. So, I don't want to give a drasha. Sorry. So it's not going to be a drasha. Which means that there's no beginning and there's no end. So it's seeing. It's going to go. It's going to see how it's going to work. And sometime my voice is going to get a little tired. We'll say l'chaim. We'll go weiter. If you're with me or not, it's not so again. Because there's a Chassidus word that if Fabrengen is eine schweigt und alle Herren. Now, what's the definition of a real Chassidus Fabrengen? One person is silencing himself in public because it's not so nice to talk to yourself with other people, with no one around. But when there are other people around, it looks like you're talking to everybody else. So really, you're talking to yourself, and everyone else is listening. So first of all, l'chaim. Rav Wineberger talked about one nekuda about Yud Tes Kislev. The Kislev, the Rabbi Rashab writes that Yud Tes Kislev is Rosh Hashanah al Teres Chassidus. And in Rosh Hashanah, there's two partsufim on Rosh Hashanah. There's two ways how you can enter into Rosh Hashanah. One is the avodah b'simcha, and one is the avodah b'miriris. It's two different avodas. Some people, their avodah Rosh Hashanah is more miriris. I mean, Meitzar, Korasika. And some tzaddikim taina that Rosh Hashanah should be done b'simcha. You should do with joy. Because Rosh Hashanah really has two things, two inyanim. It's mishpat. It's serious, that's the mishpat. It's a time of awe, of mishpat. But Rosh Hashanah is also a time of cheres. Rosh Hashanah is the time that avodim are yotzim from avdos. In Rosh Hashanah is a cheres. The cheres means, on one hand, you're being judged, but on the other hand, mitzad the cheres shebedavar, mitzad the freedom, you're untangling yourself from the choshech. And the avodas of tshuva is b'simcha, because you're getting rid of those things that are blocking you and holding you down. So we're going to go a little bit more with the kava simcha. Yerushalayim. Rabbi Shab writes in a letter that Rosh Hashanah is oir v'chayis nafsheinu nitalanu. That Yud Tes Kislev is oir v'chayis. And what's Chassidus? Chassidus is lichtigkeit, is oir. What's Chassidus? Chassidus is Chayas. You know, they once asked the Rebbe Rayatz, the Fidig Rebbe, they asked him, Shaila, if he can explain what Chassidus is. And he wrote back that he never thought about it. Never thought what Chassidus is about. And then he tries to give an answer, but the real oimik of this story is that when you're living something and it's true to you, you don't ask a question. Questions are asked on additional things in life. Life itself doesn't have a question. Some people have questions of life, but most times the shaila is not life itself. It's not, what do I do in my life? I'm alive, have chayas. Now the question is, where do I direct my chayas? How do I get more chayas? Chayas means alive. It's or. The derech HaChassidus is a derech of or. What does it mean to have, what is the derech of or? The path of light, the Vladnika writes this. What does it mean to be the path of or? How does Zayda Zalman Moshe? Some people have heard of him, some people should hear about him. He's a Bavram Yoshver. So the Friedrich once said on Zalman Moshe that Veis Chassidus, Versteht Chassidus, means he knows. First he said this is mine is Zalman Moshe. Mine Zalman Moshe. The Rashab said on this Chassid, mine Zalman Moshe, he's mine. And then he says Veis Chassidus, which means he knows a lot, commas. Versteht Chassidus, he understands Chassidus, which is the Eichos, he understands. But then the Friedrich said like this, that he doesn't leave the mimer that he's learning until he's margish, until he senses the or that was present when the Rebbe said the mimer. So, Veis Chassidus, it's a nice thing. You know a lot of things it says in books. Versteht Chassidus is already a higher madrega. But the essence of Torah Chassidus is light, is lichtigkeit. And lichtigkeit means you can't be Maggid lichtigkeit. You see some people that are alive, they have oil, and some people are stuck in choshech. In the Lameds, there was a Yiddir Be'el Khan that wrote a sefer called Sefer Erchen. They're wanting to write a sefer on all the Erchen and Torah Chassidus Chabad. Like Encyclopedia Talmud, it's the same style. And Rabbi El prepared like an introduction, what he's going to say. But the Rebbe told him that he should take something else from Sichas, which became something that's called Kuntis Yon Shel Torah Chassidus. It's a kuntis of what is Torah Chassidus. What is it? What's Torah Chassidus? He says that what is Torah Chassidus? There are many different ways to be magder, to define what Chassidus is. You can say Chassidus is another gilui of Pnimis HaTorah. There's a gilui of Pnimis HaTorah from the Zohar HaKadosh. There's a gilui from the Ramak, the Ramban already, from before. And there's a gilui from the Ramchal, the Rashash, the Gra, the big tzaddikim. And then in that time period, there was also another gilui. It's all 1740. There was another gilui, and that gilui was the Torah of Baal Shem Tov. So pshat is, what is Chassidus? Chassidus is another understanding of life. There's one understanding, another understanding. Chassidus reveals another understanding. And the way it was written about is that Chassidus is either nishmasa l'nishmasa, or razan or derazan. This is the Hagdara. This is the way we are magder. In Kunus Yon, the Torah Chassidus, the Rebbe's magder says, what is Torah Chassidus? Torah Chassidus is Yechidah Shebenefesh. There's Pshat, which is literal interpretation. There's Remez, allusions. Prat, Remez, Drush, the Soid. These are all different understandings of Torah. What's Chassidus? Chassidus is the Yechidah. What does it mean it's the Yechidah? What it means is to say that it's Yechidah Shebenefesh, the person's essence of their soul, the essence of their neshama that's connected to Elokus, the Chelik Elokah, the part of a neshama that's always light, that's always knows, that's always clear, that's always connected. This is our pnimis. This is a Yechidah Shebenefesh. Where is Yechidah Shebenefesh mizbata? Where does it show up? Sevensach, it depends. For some people, for Nashim Pshuta maybe, Yechidah Nefesh shows up in their Nefesh, in their Maisa. Sometimes you see a person doing a Maisa mitzvah with such chiyas, with such connectivity, that you see she shines by him, it's lichtig, it's illuminated, he's Yechidah Nefesh. Where? In the Maisa. Another person's Yechidah Nefesh is sitting and learning Torah, and his Gila of Yechidah Nefesh is in Torah. Another person's in Tefillah. How could Yechidah Nefesh be Mizbata? How could it reveal itself in every single prat? Because Yechidah Nefesh is the essence that includes all pratim. It's the nekuda that exists with all the pratim. It's not a prat, it's not a detail. There's one Torah, and there's another Torah, and there's another idea. There's prat, Ramesh, there's different dargas and soid. Then there's the pnimius of that, the Yechidah. So when there's a Gila of Torah, it's a Yechidah, which is Torah Shel Mashiach. Very simple shaila. We're celebrating Yud Tes Kislev Fabrengen Rosh Hashanah Chassidus. It's not Chassidus Chabad. Chassidus HaKlali. It's Rosh Hashanah Torah Chassidus. What's the connection between a chassid that's in the derech of Chabad versus, let's say, a chassid in Breslov or Ishbitz or Vizhnitz, another thing? If you look superficially, you could say, okay, maybe a levush. Chabad doesn't have a levush so much. Maybe it's negunim. Some chassidim don't have so many negunim. So what connects all these branches that all came from the same Torah, all came from Torah Baal Shem? The answer is that Torah Baal Shem is the Yechidah Nefesh. And since it's Yechidah Nefesh, it's mizbata in every single mahalach, in that mahalach. So if it's a tefillah, so you get to the essence of tefillah. And if it's Torah, if it's ger or kotzik, it's a Torah, then it's the essence of Torah. Because Chassidus is the Yechidah Nefesh. It's not another Torah, it's not another wrinkle, not another kvetch with the finger. Torah Chassidus is the Gila of Yechidah Nefesh. And what does it mean to have the Gila of Yechidah Nefesh? In everything, there's a... Rav Wineberger said before that one of the reasons why Torah Chassidus was revealed is because the world was in a state of salfos. And this is brought down by many tzaddikim. That the world was in a very dormant, very dark place. And Torah Chassidus, like the mashal from the Alter Rebbe, the Pinchas Karitzer, is like to rub the Keser HaMalchus, the crown and jewel of the king, to maybe a little, tiny little bit would get into the mouth of the person and enliven them. So what's Torah Chassidus? Torah Chassidus is an antidote to darkness. It's like a medicine. People are struggling with choshech. Comes along the Baal Shem. The Eibusher reveals in the Shem of the Baal Shem HaKadosh, to reveal Torah Chassidus, and to Maila. I think I need to say L'chaim. That comes along Torah Baal Shem and gives chayas to Klal Yisrael. But there's also another nekuda. That Torah Chassidus, and that's why it's called Oishivas Yomim. It's connected to the Oragonus. It's connected to the Orachanaka of Lasid Lavoi. Because Chassidus is not only a revelation within time, within the present moment, already a few hundred years, that in order to fight darkness, this is this light that came down. Chassidus is the future that's revealed in the present. There's two different nekudas. There's the talich hazman, there's the process of time, and then there's the tachlis meister shemayim v'aretz, which is Odom Shel Schar, the Sheish Yom, and then the Shabbos. Shabbos is tachlis shemayim v'aretz, which means tachlis is on Shabbos is revealed the tachlis. Kol malachtacha asuya on Shabbos means that you're not supposed to do any work on Shabbos. Doesn't only mean malacha gashmi, but tzaddikim say that it means also malacha ruchni. Because when a person reaches the level of madrega of Shabbos and is really experiencing the oil of Shabbos correctly, then nigmar, you're a tzaddik gomer. Kol malachtacha asuya, you don't have to worry about what tomorrow. Today you're a tzaddik. And you sit and learn or daven on Shabbos. So the Shabbos, you're connected to the oil of La Salome, the Tachlis Shemayim V'aretz. And when you're connected to Tachlis Shemayim V'aretz, there's no more avoida. The avoida is when you're in Sheish Yom Ta'avod. But when you get to the Tachlis, there's no avoida, the faket. The Tachlis is the schar. So what is Torah Chassidus? Torah Chassidus was the revealing of the oil of L'Asid Lavoi into the present. Because there are two types of Giluim. There's one Gilui where the present, the Hoiva, is in the effect of the past. And that's the way Zman runs. The time passes from our past to our present to our future. That's B'chitzoynes Oilamus. In Pnimius Oilamus, it works the other way around. In Pnimius Oilamus, where do you see this? If there's a machloikis between a Tana and an Amoira, you pass like the Tana. Allah Kabasoi within that time, but it's machloikis Tanoim and Amorai, you pass like the Tana. If there's a machloikis between the Rishonim and the Achronim, you pass like the Rishonim. Why? Because the closer the Tana or the Rishon was to Matan Torah, to the past, the more their presence feeling the Rishon of the past. So the further back you go, the closer you are to the Rishon of Matan Torah. In Torah Sasoid, it works mamish the other way around. In Torah Sasoid, the Gilui of the Mashal of the Arizal is eskabel by Tvutzis Yisrael much greater than the Gilui that came before him, from the Ramak, even from the Rishonim. Or the Gilui of Torah Chassidus that came even after that. Why? L'chura halacha should be like the first. Because when it comes to Pnimius HaTorah, the Rishon doesn't work from the past to the present. The Rishon works that the present is being pulled by the future. So even though we're living in the present, and we don't have Gula, Kipshutai, and Klal Yisrael doesn't Yeshuas, big Yeshuas, on a pratistic level, on a holistic level. But the Orach Chassidus gave us an ability to tap into the future in the present. They once came to Chernobyl and asked him, that it says, the Chassidim, original Chassidim, they were either called Karliners or they were called Freilicher. The early Chassidim were called Freilicher. Why? Because Chassidim started Avodah of Simcha. So they came to the rabbis and said, the Gemara says in Brachas, that Ozimol is Chayk Pinu, that also Adam Shemal is Chayk Pinu, a person's not allowed to be joyful. You're not allowed to smile. You're not allowed to dance. You're not allowed to do what we just did. Maybe Yesh Heter, if you're saying Psukim and you say Dvar Torah, maybe. But this whole thing, I don't know if you know, Yezedus didn't have, Avram Frieds. There was no such thing. People didn't listen to music. Eden didn't listen to music. Certainly, Amol, before the Gilui Torah Chassidus. The Gemara says you're not allowed to. They didn't. For Chassan, they played a little music. That's it. Negina is the essence of Torah Chassidus. The essence of Torah Chassidus is Negina. The Alter Rebbe said that you cannot know, if you don't understand Negina, then you can't understand Tanya. If you don't have a Chush Negina, then you can't open up your neshama. You can't really understand the Or. So there's Negina. So they came to Tainus. So he said, that's true when you live in Elam Hazah. And your shoyef, your desire is to get to Elam Haba. But if you already have the oil from Elam Haba already in the present, then forget, you should fill yourself with simcha. So Torah Chassidus is the gilui of the oil of La'asid, the oil of Geula, and the way to properly learn Chassidus, it's Vesen Chassidus, Verstehen Chassidus. It's not just to learn the Ribur Kamos. You have to stop and to be margish, to try to feel the oil that Chassidus is. I said before that the same Zayda was once sitting with the Ein Beis, Tafish Ein Beis, from the Rashab, and he was older. He had a stroke, couldn't talk, and he was sitting and holding Ein Beis, and he was crying, and he was kissing the sefer. It was a bichel. It wasn't a proper sefer. They used to have these little pamphlets. And the Bachim were sitting there. They came to Fabrengen with him. He couldn't talk well. And I heard this from Rabbi Yael. And he said he was sitting next to Zal Moshe. And he asked Zal Moshe, what did you see in the Maimed that you're so inspired? So he opened up the page, and he showed him with his finger, with his nail, he kratzt in a few words. It says, Veluchas harishoinus lo yo'is klal. That's it. The Luchas HaRishonos, there's no letters. There's words, and you're reading words. You're reading the words. But every single word, every single dibur that you're speaking is an expression of something that's much deeper. The way things exist in Olam Atzilus is Oyer. Oisius only come in Bria. You can't really explain something. If you want to explain something, you're already magder it. You're mitzamtzim it. You're already constricting it. And Luchas HaRishonos, there's a word from Aram Ipano that writes that the difference between Luchas HaRishonos and Luchas Shnius is that Luchas HaRishonos is Pi HaKadosh Baruch Hu Atzmoi, and Luchas Shnius is Pi Eliyahu Hanavi. As steht. Why Eliyahu Hanavi is in the Shaila? Pi HaKadosh Baruch Hu Atzmoi. And Torah Chadash and B'Tei Teitzei, we also Pi HaKadosh Baruch Hu Atzmoi. That the Eibusher will give the Torah Chadash and B'Tei Teitzei. It says in Sivos HaRivash, in Torah Baal Shem, that Baal Shem once said on himself that there's a Yid in this world that hears Torah Pi HaKadosh Baruch Hu B'Atzmai. There's someone sitting in this world, means Baal Shem meant himself, that is hearing Torah from HaKadosh Baruch Hu B'Atzmai. What is Torah from? That's Torah Datzilus. That's Torah of Los Loving. That's the Oyer. That's the Oyer. Oyer v'chayis nafsheinu nitin lanu. We have to connect to the Oyer. Yeah, we have to connect to the Oisius. Someone asked me before, it's a good child, that you say that Yud Tes Kislev is the Rosh Hashanah Torah Chassidus, because the Alter Rebbe sat in prison. So why didn't all the Talmidei Maggid sit in prison? What's up with the Alter Rebbe? Why the Alter Rebbe was the others sat for a very short period of time, the second time, but the Alter Rebbe was mainly sat in prison. So what's up with the Alter Rebbe? Why the Alter Rebbe was the one that was sat in prison? There's a lashon, there's a phrase the Alter Rebbe writes in Igeres HaKodesh that ani loy basi lefarish ela toiras habal Shem Tov v'talmidov al pi Arizal. The Alter Rebbe says on himself that what he wants to do in this world, he wants to reveal the Torah, the Oyer of Torahs of Baal Shem v'talmidov, the Maggid, the Rebbe, and use through the language of the Arizal, or to say it differently, to take the lashon of the Arizal and infuse it with the Oyer of Torah Chassidus. Kiyadua, there were different mahalchim, there were different paths in Talmidei Maggid. You already told me the Baal Shem, the different paths. The Baal Shem himself, if you could be Magdir, it's hard to Magdir Baal Shem, and you really shouldn't, but Fiani is daiti for this situation. The Baal Shem revealed Oyer. If you open up a Sefer Baal Shem, any Sefer Baal Shem, the Baal Shem Tov is never trying to explain, never, but in 95%, never trying to explain a steer in Gemara, or a steer in Torah Sari, or a steer in Psukim. The Baal Shem brings light into this world. There's a revealing of Oyer. Now you have to take the light and put it into every single prat, but the Oyer comes down in Torah Baal Shem, in the rain of Torah Baal Shem. It's pure Oyer. There's no very little oisius, there's very little Lashon Chazal, Lashon Apsukim. There is, but it's very, very little. And God the Baal Shem was a huge Talmud Chacham, I don't have to tell you. He used to give a shir every day, for many hours. He more in Paskin, but the Torah that he revealed is Torah of Oyer. His Talmud, the Maggid, which is tonight's also the Yemilula of the Maggid. The Maggid, before he came to Baal Shem, the Maggid was already a huge Talmud Chacham. He was a Talmud of Pnei Yeshua, and he was also a big Makubal. Shat and Makubal, with the klois and broad, he was a Makubal in the very classic ways that people studied Kabbalah. And the mice is that the Maggid came to the Baal Shem HaKadosh. And he was suffering. And that's the story. Physically, he was also not well. And he came for a trupa, for like a healing. And he came for Shabbos, And this is the story. He came for Shabbos, and he sat there, and he didn't connect it. He didn't connect to the Torah of Baal Shem. So Motzei Shabbos, he decided he's leaving. And the Toldos was walking by. The Toldos was walking by and says, what's happening? He said, I'm leaving. I came to the Rebbe. It's not my Rebbe, so I'm leaving. So the Toldos walked into the room where the Baal Shem was sitting. He didn't speak to his Rebbe directly. He started walking around and said, there's a Yid that's sitting outside your door. That's Malakali. How come you're not Makarvim? So Baal Shem picked up his eyes and said, call him in. Call him the Maggid. The Maggid came into the room, and the Maggid told the Baal Shem that I'm leaving. Tonight I'm going, because I didn't find what I'm looking for. So the Baal Shem said, before you leave, if you have any shilas, anything you want to ask. So he said, yeah, I have a shilah. There's a steer in Zohar that I have, and no one really was able to answer me. So the Maggid said over the steer. Baal Shem closed his eyes. And the way the Maggid's matire is that the Baal Shem started talking, and all of a sudden, Nismala Kol Abayis Soira, the whole room became lit. And everything that he was saying was not information. When he was talking about Atzilus, he experienced Atzilus. And when he said the Shem of a Malach, he experienced that Malach. And he said, this is my Rebbe. Because what the Baal Shem HaKadosh gave the Maggid is Oir V'chayas Nafshenu. He gave him life. He gave him life. And if you look at the Oimek of Torah Maggid, we'll get to the Baal Shem, you look at Oimek Torah Maggid, you'll see that Torah Maggid, his big chidushim, if you wish, one of the major chidushim in Torah Maggid, is that the whole Tzimtzum is a joke. Tzipa and the Beres and Tainik Tmidei and Tainik, this is the lashon of the Maggid always, over and over again. That what you think is a tzimtzum, that it's real, and it's harsh, and it's dark, and it does feel dark. He's not saying it doesn't feel dark. But you should know that the moshel that he gives is the moshel av, that is mesachek ibnoi hakotan, a father that plays with a child. This is a chiddush of a moshel. It's never found before the Maggid. There's always some shalom from the Baal Shem before, where it's a father with a son, he sends him away, that's already an adult. The first time you find a moshel of a father playing with his child, is obviously he had a child, of Avraham Malach, it's Torah Maggid, which means he gave the Maggid oir. He was able to look at the tzimtzum, and able to look at the constrictions of life, and able to look at the whole Torah Sari. And he was able to find the chayas, the oir v'chayas nafshenim. In Torah Sari, the ikar word that's used over and over and over and over again is amshachas hamoichin. Anytime a person does a mitzvah, you mamshach moichin. Zoyrampen, malchus, you always mamshach moichin. From bina, from chachma, from avah, from higher, you always mamshach moichin. The avoid of Yid is to draw down moichin. This lashon is not found in Torah Baal Shem. In Torah Baal Shem, it's chayas. It's life. They're not arguing. It's not an argument, it's not a stira. One is using the oasis of moichin, and one is using the oasis of oir. The Alter Rebbe wanted to mishalev the oir of the Baal Shem with the moichin of the Maggid, or to say different, the moichin of the Arizal. To mishalev these two Torahs, because you can have oir, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have moichin. And you can have a lot of moichin, unfortunately, and have no oir. There are people that are bucky in all kavanas arashash. You know such people. Kenzan, it's you. And they know exactly where everything flies. But there's no oir. And there's some people that don't never open the rashash, don't know what it is, never heard of the rashash. And they're full of oir. What did the Alter Rebbe want? The Alter Rebbe wanted Meshalev the Torah, the oir of Torah of Shem, with the moichen, the intelligence of Chabad, of his Rebbe, the Maggid, and going back to Ari. That's why it's brought up in Ramach Hoisius, that the Baal Shem was more kusher to the Ramak, and the Maggid is more kusher to Ari. Because in Torah Ramak, it's about Hoisius, and it's about Gvanim, different. The Ari, to use, is more about Moichen. The Ari actually writes in Shar Rashbi that he could have done it another way. The Pei Vav said that my Rebbe could have done it the other way, but he didn't. The point is that it's Moichen. What's Torah Chassidus? Let's understand this. Torah Chassidus, is everyone following me? Okay, whoever's following is, whatever, if you don't, this is oir. This is Luchar Shashainis Loyosis Klal. It's not negate what I say. If you feel it, you feel it. You know, just open your heart. We'll figure out the moichen for another day. The Torah Chassidus, which is pshat, is that it's yichidish b'nefesh, is not oir, and it's not moichen. Because if it's oir or it's moichen, or it's anything, then it's not the thing in itself. It has to be something that has everything. That has to have moichen, and it has to have oir. Chavuka dvuka bach b'atzmusach, there's a lashon of Rashab, that's Torah Chassidus, atzmus. And in the chibur of a yid, with atzmus, with atzmusi is barach, sometimes you have moichen, sometimes you don't. But you're always connected. There's a lashon in the Ramaz, al Zohar HaKadosh. The Rebbe God brings down a Maimer in Yud Gimel on Purim, that there are four. We always think about that there are two ways to be in this world. Either there's Gilui Ponim, or there's Hester Ponim. Either there's Gilui, there's Hastaras Ponim, or there's a Gilui Ponim. But the Ramaz writes that there's actually two madregas in between. To get from Ponim to Acher, there's Yamin and Smoil. So Moedik Avod. Because we think that Yamin is Ponim. And we think Smoil is Acher. We say, if the Eibush is showing me Chsadim, and my life is working out, and everything is geknakt, that's Pnei Hashem. I have a relationship with Pnei Hashem. And when I feel Gvuris, that's Pnei Layorev, Chas Shalom, it's Acher. But it's not true. There's Yamin, Smoil, and then Acher. You know what Pana means? Pana means, you ever spoke to somebody and they're telling you everything what they're saying? They're saying words and their mouth is moving, but they're not there? Has that ever happened to you? Or maybe you were not there and you don't remember that you were there. It's also shayach. Some people can be living in the same place. You can be a bacher in yeshiva, you can be in the same dormitory, and you can know exactly how the schedule of your chavrusa, when he gets up, what he's learned, everything, but you actually never faced him ponim upon him. You never had a real relationship with him. Ponim upon him means, that's atzmus. Ponim upon him means that I'm connected with you, not in yamin. Yamin, it feels better. It feels much better. And small doesn't mean that Hashem Kadosh Baruch Hu is doichas. Pnei Hashem, Torah Chassidus, is the pnimius, is the essence, is the nekuda of everything. It's the ponim of everything. To be in relationship with the ponim, with the Pnei Hashem. Rav Wineberger spoke before about Chanukah. There's a very interesting thing that happens on Chanukah. The original Chanukah, the Gemara Avodah Zarah says, happened in Tkufas Tevis. It got very long the days, then it got very short, then it got very long. So Elam Chashach Ba'adi, Adam Rishon saw that it's getting darker and darker, said the world's going to get dark for me. And he cried and wailed for days. And then he when it started becoming lighter, he made a simcha. That's the original Chanukah. There's a one in Talmidei Baal Shem makes a cheshbon exactly that on the night of Leil Chanukah, on the night of the Nes Chanukah, it was Tkufas Tevis. He does a cheshbon, but the reason why it's important the cheshbon is because it wasn't Kufas Tevis, and it wasn't the longest night of the year, so they would have a little bit for the next night. How did they make the Pach Shem? They took for the longest night of the year. They said the longest night is, let's say, 14 hours, and they made a Pach Shem in 14 hours. But if that night was only 13 and a half hours, because it wasn't the longest night of the year, then we have a half hour for the next day. It says, so he's a raya that it happened in Tkufas Tevis. You know what happens in Tkufas Tevis? I don't know if it's a Bacher thing, most Bacher. You know when Shabbos starts getting earlier? You familiar with this? Shabbos gets earlier and earlier and earlier. There's a certain yach, I don't want to say anxiety, because that's mamish klipa, but there's a certain yeshiv mitzapa, okay. And then Shabbos starts getting later, you feel a little relaxed. Is this a normal sensation you have? Berach? What happens when Shabbos doesn't move? In New York, it's 4:11. One Shabbos is 4:11. The Shabbos before that is, let's say, 4:13. Okay, 2 minutes. Okay, a little more lachatz. The next two Shabbosim, it's going to be already 14. Okay, a little relax. What happens if you look at the calendar and it's 4:11 and 4:11? What do? You go Meshuggah. Why? Because we know only ups and downs. We feel good when we're going up. You mean? We feel bad when we're going down, but at least we feel. What happens when you stop feeling? That's the problem. Not that you're feeling down, because you're feeling down and you're still feeling that you're feeling down. That means there's still life in you. So now you're feeling down, and you're going to figure it out. You're going to find the pach echad. But when there's no movement, we have to connect. And this is always we're connecting to the Pnei Hashem. Not Yamin, not Smoil, not Acher. The Pnei Hashem. The Pnei Hashem means that I am living my life in conversation, in dialogue, in connection, in dveikus with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Always. I feel down, I feel up, doesn't matter. Zvina Hashem Nitzav Olav. There's a Malachim Oidem Yoidem Boy, but then there's Hashem Nitzav Olav. I have this conviction. And this conviction, when I have this conviction, I can live this way, Pnei Hashem, and I can connect it to Pnei Hashem, then I feel, whatever I'm feeling, I can feel the oil. And this is a little bit what Torah Chassidus wanted to reveal to this world, is not only to wake us up, which is gewaldic, we should wake up. It's a gewaldic thing to be awake. But to live with the Oyer Agula, to be moishech from the Oyer Agula, from the future. That instead of thinking yourself, sorry, I'm going to say one more thing. Do you need to go? I feel bad. Oh. I saw a modern Shaila. The Rebbe Lubavitcher asked the Shaila about Yud Tes Kislev, which I thought was an interesting Shaila. He said, in Lu Yitzur, let's say the Alter Rebbe didn't go out of prison. It was different from Beis Asur. What happens if the story didn't end well? Alter Rebbe was there, and Rahman al-Islam, whatever happened, he stayed in prison, whatever happened, it didn't end well. What would have happened? He said, you wouldn't have Torah Chassidus? Ken Zion, but he said something else. He said, no. He said, Yidden are always good at Mesiras Nefesh. We know how to do Mesiras Nefesh. And in fact, every time there's a Gilui, there has to be Gilui Matan Torah, so there has to be Korah Barzel, there has to be Mitzrayim, there has to be Gilui of Torah Shabbat Peh and Purim, so there has to be Halak Kibbuah. Okay. So, look, yeah, they say I should stop speaking. Let me say this word. The word is that without Yud Tes Kislev, we be connected to the oil. We have to. We would find ways to connect the oil, but it'll come through such hardship. It will be nikna b'yisurim. So Alter Rebbe coming out of prison, and the Gilui Torah Chassidus allowed people to experience Torah Chassidus without the yisurim, without the darkness. So the Eibusher should help. I'm going to end. The Eibusher always helps. We should help ourselves. Allow the Eibusher to help us to be connected to the oil, to live with chayes, and over chayes nafshenu, we should have a gewaldige Lashon HaTorah, Kseva, Kseva, Libna Chassidus, Dark Chassidus. L'chaim, l'chaim.
Shkoyach, to close the night, we're going to have one nigun where we sing. We've got the opportunity to take the incredible words of Torah from Rav Pinson, from Rav Wineberger. Let's put our hearts and souls in the Rav Shlomo Katz with one final nigun as we close off this beautiful evening.
Rikoysin lachem bracha ad belidai, ad belidai, ad belidai, ad belidai, dai, dai, dai. Rikoysin lachem bracha ad belidai, ad belidai, ad belidai, ad belidai, dai, dai, dai. Ay ad sheyilu seim sesei, elai dai, dai, dai. Mashiach v'shekol,
Geulah, so soll sein Geulah, Mashiach, so soll kommen.